Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. I'm going to talk about, if Bitcoin falls and you're waiting for a low point to buy back in, November may be your month. Let's say why. Because it has actually a lot to do with our politics and the election coming in November. We all know that a president's approval rating is basically determined a lot by the economy and employment. Right now, the stock market and the employment situation doesn't jive. So you have like part positive and part negative. Positive that the stock market is still really high. Negative that employment is not as great. In fact, Bed Bath and Beyond said they're going to lay off thousands of jobs and close 200 stores over 2 years because of a 50% fall in sales during the pandemic. The government can actually print money to actually give people stimuluses and maybe keep them going. They can't print jobs to pump up the overall economy in the long run, and that's going to be very, very problematic. Especially the U.S. government can print a lot of money, but it still can't print infinite amounts without consequences. So there is that problem over the next several years. I do think the virus thing is pretty much going to be over next year once we get a vaccine going. But the thing is, right now, there's really not a solution in sight right now, and it's going to be several months. So there could be a second swoon. And the thing is, Donald Trump has a huge incentive to keep the stock market pumped up until the election. After the election, it's his second term. He doesn't have to run for re-election again. He doesn't have to think about that. Therefore, he might not have the big incentive to actually keep everything pumping over and over again. Although, for him, he's a guy that basically thrives on popularity and approval ratings, so he might want to keep pumping it up. But there won't be as big of incentive to actually keep it pumped up as much as possible after the election. The election, I believe, is on November 3rd. So I think after the election, as we get later into November, you might see them back off a little bit on the QE and back off a little bit on the stimuluses and stuff, or help to people who are actually in need after November, because they can actually toughen up their stance because they don't have to worry about losing support. At least the GOP doesn't. They want any chance at winning the election, they have to keep some of the people happy, and that does mean actually giving more stimulus checks and pumping more money into the economy and keeping the stock market afloat. If the Treasury actually stopped buying bonds and maybe even some stocks for companies, then the stock market would actually tank. If they stop injecting trillions of dollars into the economy, that is the only way the economy is actually being propped up right now. So knowing that, and that a big incentive is actually going away in November, you could prepare for a stock market swoon in November if they can keep it propped up for that long after the election, because then there won't be as many consequences if you don't actually keep the market actually up, because then approval ratings don't really matter because he's not running for re-election over again in 2024. So he probably won't really care, and he really cares about his popularity and what people think of him, and especially he really wants to win he doesn't like to lose, so he wants to win the election. So that's part of the reason he's pumping. He's actually trying to pump so much money into the economy. He wants to give a second stimulus that's really big. The Republicans in Congress don't really want to do that, so there's kind of a split within the party itself. So there is that kind of dichotomy actually working right now, and that will actually go away in November. So if we have a second drop in terms of stock market, that means more people are going to be out of a job. More people aren't going to be able to pay their rent. So a lot of people are going to have to start liquidating their assets. And if you're thinking, well, people who got laid off don't have cryptocurrencies anyways, that's totally wrong. There's several in my chat room that have said, yeah, I do own crypto, but I did get laid off. Now, a month or two, they might be able to survive, but if you go for it long term, people are going to be starting to liquidate their assets for cash just to live on, and that will actually include cryptocurrencies too, so they're not actually immune from it. So watch out for November. I would say have at least some money on the sidelines come mid or late November. I wouldn't say sell out and wait until mid or late November, obviously, but have a little bit of money on the sidelines ready to actually scoop up some cheap stocks or crypto if that actually happens, because I think there is a chance that will actually happen after the election. So that is the news for today. Let me know what you think, like and subscribe, and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.